Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. I'm super excited about this one, finally talking about it, and that is buying strategy and then exit strategy when you're getting rid of the vehicles on Turo. So I think that first off, buying a car for Turo, the buying process is probably one of the most important parts of the whole entire operation. And the reason I think that is because when you go to sell your vehicle, when you're finished up with it, the more it's worth, the better off you are. If your car gets in an accident on Turo, if something happens, if you're in a really good position, the possibility of you getting paid out more is much higher than what you paid for the vehicle. And that's happened to us. We bought a car for $8,500 private, got a really, really good deal on it. Somebody took it to Mexico, got stolen, and we got paid out for it. We got paid out $14,000 for it. So that just goes to show, if you buy a car right, it just opens up tons of doors for you, and it really, really builds the business model. So a lot of people talk about buying cars, and there's tons of different strategies. And for us, we don't just use one. We look at auction, we sometimes look at dealership, and then we look at private. Dealership isn't our biggest form. We'll look here and there. Rarely do they have really good deals, and it's tough because they're typically charging retail, or they're making their money on it, and we can get these cars for the price that they're buying it for, which is at auction or private if somebody's just wanting to get rid of something. So I think that when you're looking for a vehicle, you need to be looking on all the channels. And the goal of finding a vehicle is, first off, you're buying it under market value for sure. Because again, when you either go to resell it or if something happens, you're up on it. Another thing is, through the process, when you're buying your car, you need to make sure that it has a couple things. Low depreciation, because the last thing you want to do is buy a car, resell it in a year, and you lost 40% value. And maybe that's not very common, and maybe that's a couple cars, but make sure the car you buy isn't that one. Second thing is maintenance. That doesn't mean you should go out and buy the most reliable car in the world and spend way too much money. It just means that when you're looking for a car, you need to make sure that mechanically they don't have tons of problems. And I'll give you an example. When we started, we didn't do a ton of research on mechanical issues of vehicles, so we bought two Nissan Quests, two of them back to back, bought them both from dealerships. Actually, well, no, one was dealership, one was private, but we were renting them out, and the tranny blew on both of them. So we got screwed on those deals, lost money, and if we would have known about those transmissions before, because that's a huge problem with those, if we would have known about that, we wouldn't have bought them, and then we wouldn't have been in that bad situation. So making sure that the mechanical issues are not there. Number three, make sure that it's a car that somebody actually wants. An example is, we had a Slingshot, right? So a three-wheel car, and it's something that most people don't even want to buy. So when we went to resell it, we initially wanted, it's like $18,000 when we bought it for $21,000 the year before, and we barely got, it was either $12,000 or $13,000. And it's just because not many people wanted it, so many people didn't want that car that it's impossible to sell. It took us such a long time. But if you have something that's popular, maybe people are going to want to buy it. So with buying the vehicle, that's what it's partially based on. It's based on mechanical, it's based on depreciation. It's also based on the cost in total. You have to buy the car at a value that makes sense when you think about renting it out. You shouldn't be buying a car that's maybe $30,000 that's going to make you $700 a month, because that doesn't make sense. The simple rule that we follow is the 10% rule, which is very, very simple. If you buy a car for $20,000, on average, you should expect to see $2,000 a month gross revenue. And for some people, that sounds absolutely crazy, but we do it every single time now. I mean, it's clockwork. We bought in cars that were $10,000, and in a single month, we made $2,400. So it's definitely possible. For us, our goal is to buy a car and have it paid off within 1 year. Given we buy all of our cars cash, and that's not the case for everybody, that is a huge rule you should be following. So once you bought your car right, once you've rented it out, once you get your 10% a year, for us, we have a couple different strategies. One is, when we get close to summer, for us in Arizona, it's really, really slow. So we sell off the cars that we know aren't going to perform very well. So our Focuses or our Fiestas, stuff like that we know are not going to have high utilization in the summer, we'll get rid of them. Even if we've just had them for a year, we'll sell them. The second milestone that we hit is under 100,000 miles. We don't want anything to reach it. I know some people that have strategies and they're going over 100,000, they're going over 150,000, which is fine. To each his own. But for us, we want to have all of our cars sold absolutely before 100,000 miles. And the reason is because we don't want a ton of mechanical problems to happen after it hits that mark. We don't want a ton of depreciation after it hits that mark. And we just don't want the hassle of it all. So when we go to resell the cars, it's pretty easy. The most money typically you can see is on private sale. So first thing that we do is we post it on Craigslist, we post it on Facebook, maybe we'll post it on AutoTrader or Cars.com. We'll find as many channels as we possibly can, post it for KBB value plus some, because some cars, I mean, right now they're going over KBB value, so we'll go above KBB value, and then we'll let it run for a little bit. If we cannot sell it private, our next resort is to talk to dealerships and see if they're willing to buy it. And if dealerships won't give us enough money, we'll look at auction prices and see what we can get for auction. So there's kind of a little bit of a way we go about it. It starts with private, then it goes to dealerships and other companies like that, and then we go to selling it at auction. When we go to sell it, we want to make sure that it's cleaned up. We want to make sure that, you know, all the little things are fixed. If there's a broken button or if there's something wrong with it, we want to fix it. Or maybe you're selling it to somebody that doesn't really care. But through the whole process, I mean, keep in mind that you don't want to buy a car that you're going to get out of in the end and maybe still owe money at the dealership, or you just lost so much money that it wipes out everything you made on Turo. So, I mean, again, reiterating how important the buying process is. I hope you learned something of value. I hope this was some good information. That's just kind of what we're doing right now. And I wish the best of luck to everybody. Thanks for watching.